Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Hello, good evening, everyone. It's Deidre and Akima with Are You a CPS Victim Like Me? Sorry, I wasn't able to make it on last week, but Akima pulled through and gave us our spot still so we could keep this show going. I'm determined to not give up this time around, and poor Grace has hung in there with me, and Akima's keeping us going. So I appreciate her. And we're hopefully going to have a guest call in this evening, like we did a couple weeks ago at the end of our show, and maybe give her experience with CPS. But in the meantime, Akima is going to go ahead and take the floor and do some talking. So, Akima, go ahead.
Always. Good evening, guys. Welcome to CPS. Are you a CPS victim like me on Mr. Davis's platform? I am Akima Richardson, like Deidre said, and I like to be called KK. And we didn't really have too much of a topic tonight, but I thought about the topic of communication and, the way that CPS, foster care agencies, foster parents, and the agencies within the CPS stature communicate with bio parents, and especially when the parents have their rights intact, whether all rights intact mean exactly what that means. That means educational, that means religious, and that means medical. And for those of y'all that are unsure about this whole medical consists of any specialties, any prescriptions, and any x-rays, procedures, or therapeutic intervention. All of those consist under the medical stature. As far as educational, that also includes attendance, progress, um, scores and progression, any services that a child may have, whether there are goals implemented on their educational intervention plan, which is an IEP, whether there are tools or ways to de-escalate, crisis situations on their behavior intervention plan, which is a BIP. And most of the time, children that have special needs need those services in order to, I want to say, productively, you know, be with the community in the educational setting. Because most of the time, children that have special needs, they require special care. And not to say any other child is less special, but they just need a little extra support. So that may be support such as peer mediation when they're taken out of class for maybe a period of, or a cluster period where they have prep and they do various activities with a buddy or just with a mentor, just to work on skills, social skills, speech and community integration. They work on how to socialize and gather those social skills to be productive individuals in society as they progress in life. And then when it comes to religious, there may be situations where each parent may practice a different belief or a different religion. That does not undermine the child's right to choose what religion they would like to be, because they do have that right. And a lot of us parents don't communicate with our children to give them that choice or to give them that decision to make. And I remember, as far as me going to church, That was not a thing for me, especially the kind of church I was raised in. So, some of the children, depending on their ages, depending on the situation and circumstance, they do get to have choices, but CPS will only communicate that when it's beneficial to them. CPS will dismiss, undermine, and neglect, and everything that comes along with it. And Deidre, our guest, is trying to call in, but I think there's something wrong with my phone.
No, I'm
One
not trying to
second.
call in, so it might be your guest.
Yeah, my guest is
Do you want to go ahead
trying to
and?
call in, but she's saying the call dropped. 1 second, because I'm like, I don't want to. Give me 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, while she is trying to see about the guests coming on, just to follow up a little bit about what Akima was kind of addressing with communication and, keeping the openness between, the caregiver or the foster parent and then the biological parent. For instance, in my situation, sorry, what was I saying? About the communication. When my mom was taking care of my kids during our case, she actually went on her own and got my two older boys baptized in the Catholic Church. And I was raised in the Catholic Church and, went to Catholic school all the way up till high school. And it's not that I necessarily didn't agree with them being baptized, but it was more or less, I think, the fact that she never even brought it across, my attention or asked me my opinion. And of course, I didn't get to be a part of it. So I think that was the main reason why, that kind of bothered me. But, again, communication as far as the best interest of the children is always what we're supposed to be aimed at. And also in my case, my oldest child has an IEP, with his education and schooling. And when my mom decided to move to Vegas, when our case was closed, let me finish this off, Akima, and then I'll pull you back in. I still to this day don't believe that she let the new school in Vegas know about my son's IEP, which I think is against the law. I don't know, but follow them through or what state they're in. So, again, that was just me kind of killing some time while Akima was seeing if we're going to have a guest come on. So I'll go ahead and let her speak and see if we're going to go that route. You're muted, Akima.
Okay,
Okay.
so for our guest, we're just gonna keep her identity as Mrs. A. She's a friend of mine, and she's had some CPS struggles, and she's on the line, and she would like to tell her story. Introduce yourself, Miss A.
My name is Lily, and I had a situation a couple of years ago with my kids, and somehow this happened a while ago where they took my children from me because I have a medical condition, and they told me that they had to take my kids away from me. So right now I'm just trying to figure out what's the whole situation, why this whole situation happened. Also, and I'm just trying to, I have one of my girls back, but my son had to be adopted for a whole situation. I just want to know what was the whole reason of why that whole situation happened.
Money, more than likely. And it's sad to say, Miss A, more than likely it was about funding.
Uh,
And as far as, do you have any case, do you have anything that you want to disclose now that's going on that maybe you could help other parents, pass the message? Miss A?
yeah,
Okay. I was giving you some time. I'm sorry.
yeah. Yeah, because right now I have one of my kids back, but my
That's
son,
good.
I haven't seen him for it's going on 16 years now since I saw him. And I just want to know the situation. I see that other people are going through the situation now, and I wonder what their problem, what their stories is, because like right now, nobody never told me any situation of why they take people's children away from them, and don't tell them anything afterwards. I just really want to know what's the whole situation. Why do they do that? That was my whole suggestion. Why do they take other parents' kids over a situation where there's no reason why they take them and then they don't tell you anything? That's my whole suggestion about this whole situation.
If you don't mind me asking, do you know what your actual allegations were?
Excuse me?
They were neglect. Was the allegations neglect, or was it abuse, or you know?
Well, they just told me that it was neglect. They never told me the whole situation when I went back to court because, like I said, when I go in the whole situation, when I had this whole situation, I was in a seizure and they never told me anything. So I really don't know what happened around that whole situation. They just took my kid and never told me nothing. So I don't really know if it was neglect or what it was.
Did you ever get to see your court documents or any part of your file?
No, I never saw anything.
Does she have a court-appointed attorney?
Did you have a court-appointed attorney, Miss A, public defender?
No, I didn't see anything. After I went to court, they gave me paperwork saying that it was a neglect situation. Then otherwise, after that, when I saw my lawyer, I didn't see my kids no more. Only one I see now is my oldest daughter.
Wait. Are you telling me that you didn't have a trial, you didn't have a hearing, they didn't give you?
Yeah, they took me to court, and like I'm saying, like when they took me to court, I had a what you call it?
The public defender, right?
Yeah, I had a lawyer, but it was a lawyer that I didn't even know his name or nothing because when he came to speak to me, I didn't know anything what was going on because I was in my seizures. I was having seizure situations.
So when they offered, did they offer you any like reasonable effort services? Like, did they offer you
or
like
a case
home
plan?
care? Did they offer you respite?
They said, I'm put it like this. They had two people come to my house. They had a lady come see me that stay with me overnight. And then they had another lady come stay with me during the day. But like when they came there, they didn't really do nothing because they never really told me the whole situation, why they was there for me. They just came there and watched me, and then the kids came there and visited with me, and then they just left. Then I went back to court, and then the whole situation happened again.
So they were like home care providers or like home attendants?
Home care providers, yes.
So then you had adequate supervision, so you would have reunification with your kids. So did you get visits?
A social worker or anybody?
I got my visits. They gave me visits. They gave me
more than one day, more than once a week. Did you get?
I went. I think once a week. Yeah, once a week.
For 2 to 3 hours, correct?
For about 2 to 3 hours. Yep.
Yeah, and that.
So why did they stop the visitation?
About when I went to my visitation, they had me for 2 or 3 hours with my son. I didn't get to see my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter, they had me at some center, and then they came and got her from school, and then they brought her there, and then I saw her for a couple of hours, and I didn't see her no more because she ended up going to stay with her father.
No, my question is why did they stop the visitation with the two younger children or the younger children?
Excuse me?
She said, why did they stop the visits with the younger children? Do you know?
Because they stopped my visit with my youngest son after the last time I went to court. Then they told me, I guess they said that when I went, because I went to court 2 times. And when I went back the second time, they were like, I guess they saying that you might as well just give your son up for because the lady that has him now, she ended up adopting him, and they was like, I might as well give her my visitation rights.
So they terminated your parental rights based on that?
They terminated my parental rights, yeah.
And
yeah, but they should have terminated her reunification services first, right?
I think it was like 2 years. 2 years,
now that,
2 or 3 years old.
Right. So in New York City, Deidre, that is illegal.
No, this wasn't here in New York City. This was in New Jersey.
Okay. So I'm not well versed in. My whole situation was in New Jersey. Okay, granted, but I mean the basic statute of, providing reasonable efforts, for a less restrictive alternative to removal would be to provide you the services that you were getting. To my knowledge, you just said you were getting round the clock
Yeah, okay,
nursing
round
care.
the
You had
clock.
round the clock supervision. So you had adequate guardianship, but yet they only gave you 2 to 3 hours a week
Right.
of visiting time and then
Yup.
snatched those based on the bond that the child had with the foster parent.
Nope. Yup. That's all they
How
did.
old was the child again?
She
And
said
then all of
two,
a sudden
D.
I couldn't see him no
That's
more.
why.
Yeah. And that's
It's because
because
your
he had,
child was so young, I'm assuming, because when the children are younger, especially like in my case, my youngest that wasn't born when my case started, and then when he was born, I was told that if, like, let's just say that was my only child, I think if they're that little, that you could maybe sometimes only have up to 6 months to try and rectify the situation, or else you could potentially lose your child to
right,
adoption. Because again, the younger the child is, the more or less they want to give them that permanent setting
stability,
because
yep.
of the fact.
Right.
And again, most foster parents, I hate to say it, especially in my situation
They
with
fall
my
behind.
youngest, this was their goal. They wanted to foster a child because they wanted to adopt. And
Right.
therefore, when they got my youngest, being a month old, that's exactly what their goal was. And that's what they got. But your child
Right.
was so young, and I'm sure the foster parent probably wanted to adopt. And so they just
Yeah.
pushed that route. So do you get to see your 2-year-old at all anymore?
No, they let me call him, but I don't get to see him no more. No, I haven't seen him since he was about like 14 years old. That's the last time I see him. That's when my youngest daughter was about 4 years old. The last time I see her.
Wow.
I haven't
No,
seen him
yeah,
after
that's what
that.
I'm
But I
asking.
get to talk to him on the phone, but I don't get to see him no more.
Oh.
So what year was your youngest when he was adopted? Was he 2 or was he
Two.
4?
That's what she's saying,
He was
two.
about 2 years old, yeah.
But
Because
he's in his, yeah,
first of
he's in
all,
his
he
20s
was
now.
taken from me when he was about, I think he was about 8 months, about 8 months years old.
So
So that's about
basically, they
12 months that they
penalized
closed.
you.
He was
Yeah.
taken.
So they basically penalized you for your past, your history.
Yup.
So based on your history, you got biased against and targeted
Yup.
for, I call it melanin drop down. Like,
But along your case, Mrs. A, I don't know if you can hear me that good because I know you're on the phone, but along your case from the day that they took your baby at 8 months or so up until when he was adopted, did they give you a case plan that you were supposed to follow? And then would you go to court? Would they tell you basically you're not making any
Nope, they didn't
progress?
give me any of that. It's like they just stopped my whole case. My whole case was just stopped after they took after my oldest daughter ended up with her father. I haven't heard any more about my son anymore. They said that he was adopted.
so you didn't have any knowledge of the termination of your rights, or you didn't
Nope.
have a TPR hearing, nothing?
Listen, I really don't remember anything because, like I told you,
It
when I
was in
go
your
into a
seizures.
seizure,
I
I don't
know,
know
I know.
anything. I
So,
don't know anything unless somebody else tells me.
so
It
you
sounds
didn't
like they
invest
used her medical against her,
against her,
obviously.
yeah.
They took my kids because of my medical condition.
But
And they
DJ, she
probably
said she
stated that you
had
were.
adequate, she had home care round the clock.
But what it's looking like, Akima, what I'm trying to
They
say is the fact
was
that.
feeding me overnight,
Hold on, Miss A.
and then
Hold on,
another
Miss
lady
A. Hold
came
on.
during the day. Yup.
Hold on 1 second, Miss A. What'd you
No
say, D?
problem.
It's just sounding like a typical case that we're used to hearing, in the fact that because her medical was obviously affecting the ability for her to
The
be able
parent.
to even know what's going on, number one. But number two, obviously nobody was trying to help her and keep her in the knowing. And the next
Right.
thing you know, like she said, her visit stopped, she was terminated and done with. But basically, they probably used her
Her
medical
medical
situation
illness,
against
yeah.
her and saying that she was not a fit parent. And because the child was so young and they had
They
someone to
thought it
adopt,
wasn't imminent risk
they
or
just
extensive
pushed
circumstances.
you through the thing like that, like you're just another piece of paper. And
Right.
it's very unfortunate because again, here she sits many years later, still so confused as to even what
What
happened,
happened? Right.
and what she could even possibly do at this point. But again, that goes in contact with the topic, communication.
Right.
There was no communication, is what it seems
At
like, with
all.
her and
That
her
right
child.
there was one for I thought
Yeah.
I heard them all. But that right there, Miss A, took you got the win right now. I said you got the win right now. I thought I was doing
I know,
bad.
that's what I'm saying, because just like my aunt and everybody keeps saying, telling me, they kept telling me to leave it alone, but like right
Leave it
right
alone.
now, I see right now as I'm bringing it up, and I bring it up from because things are starting to come back to me.
That's
because,
good.
like I said, I forgot a lot of stuff, but a lot of stuff is really starting to come back to me about what really happened. And then as I see it now, like when my daughter, my two oldest girls tell me, like when I go into a seizure, I see things that happen, and then it goes away. But now stuff is
coming
really
back like
starting to come back
flashbacks.
to me.
Well, that's a good
really
thing.
Happened.
That's a good thing. At least you're not having any type of like delirium or any amnesia.
Right, exactly.
No amnesia,
like,
you know?
everything is really starting to come back to me about what really happened when that situation happened.
Well, I'm glad we could assist, and I'm glad that you can actually pass the message to, other parents, as a person with, sorry, sorry. But, we appreciate you, speaking on this
I have a couple
platform.
more questions.
Sure, Deidre wants to,
Yeah,
she has some
Mrs.
questions.
A, again, I don't know if you can hear me that well, but I'm just curious going forward, do you have any kind of way to possibly communicate with that youngest child at all, or have you completely lost communication?
Did you hear it?
What happened?
She said, do you have any way to communicate with the child, the youngest child, or no?
Yeah, I said I could talk to him. Like if I could text him, or either I have his
Oh,
phone number, I could call him like on certain time at certain times.
So he
well,
does
that's
know.
good.
Yeah, I could still stay in touch with him still.
So he
'Cause I
does
have
know
his
you're
phone
the
number
birth
now.
mom. That's good. He knows you're his birth mom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
He
good.
know who I am, and he know who his two sisters are.
So that's good. At least he
Does
has.
he
He know who all of us are. 'Cause we
does he express interest in wanting to see you?
She said, does he express wanting to see you? Like,
Well, we be trying to go see him, but when we call her, she doesn't answer her phone to like make time
the
for us to
appointment,
go see
right?
him. Cause she
So,
said we could come see him when we want to, but when we try to make time to go see him, it's like she don't answer and like make a date for us to come.
so she's restricting the
Yeah. Well, hopefully,
communication
as the
aspect.
child gets older and really wants to see you, hopefully he'll be able to put that more into action and play. But you know what? Your situation isn't the worst of the worst because at least you
Right.
do still get to have some kind of
Communication,
But he
right?
still
communication.
know who we are.
So
That's
that's
good.
good. You got another question, D?
No, that was
No.
do you do you have anything else you want to leave us with, or any advice you have for our viewers or other parents, Ms. A?
No.
Well, we appreciate.
Well, I really appreciate talking to you, y'all.
No problem. We appreciate you coming on, Mr. Davis's platform. Attorney Vincent Davis is the best. You guys got to retain him. Retain him. He is the man. So, but we're here. We're here for other parents. Just let you guys know
Mhm.
every Wednesday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Pacific Time, Deidre.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you,
Mrs.
Miss
A.
A, and have a great
No problem,
night.
Miss Simone.
Bye-bye.
All right.
No, but just to kind of like follow up with,
I have a million names, right?
what's that?
I have a
What's
million
that?
names, right? Akima, KK, Mr. Simone,
Oh, yeah.
everybody.
No, but just kind of like with following up with, having the guests come on tonight, that's kind of like why or mainly why I want to do this show is again, like if I would have found out about Mr. Davis, in the beginning of my case, I feel like it wouldn't have ended, where it did. And
But it's not
again, it's
ended,
all
D.
about,
It's not
well,
over.
no, I mean, what I'm trying to say is my youngest, wouldn't have been adopted, I don't think. And I don't think my oldest would be in a guardianship with my mom. I think they would have came back home. It's not over in the fact that, yes, I'm still fighting and it's not over that fact, but it's over as far as the courts are concerned. My case is closed,
Right,
So,
right, out of the course.
again, I just feel like parents are so naive in the whole CPS entity is what I like to call them, because I feel like they're just a money making business. And they really aren't there for what we as naive parents think that they should be there for. Like if I would have found out that a parent had a CPS case before they came into my life, I kind of would have maybe looked at the parent a little different and thought, well, maybe you did do something wrong. And never would I have thought that they are out there to really kidnap kids and,
Steal our kids. That's what it
make
is.
money off of them. I mean,
Feel
because
that.
that's literally what
It's
they are
kidnapping.
doing. And
It's
again,
human
they get these
trafficking.
Yeah, it really is. They get these bonus incentives for basically, adopting out kids. And I feel like maybe if they would take a step back and turn the bonuses around and have it be geared
They
towards,
get bonuses if your child is special needs too. There's an
oh yeah,
there's a
because
there's
all
a
the medical, and
incentive.
that's just like with hand in hand with all the doctors and the pharmacies and
Right.
everything out there. It's all a paper trail of just money, 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 money. But again, if they were to give these bonus incentives for reunifying the children instead of adopting them, maybe a lot more kids would be going home instead of, being adopted out. Again, I just feel like it's all about money, and it's kind of disgusting because it's our children. And, it happens all over the world, unfortunately. But the main reason why I do this show is to hopefully, even if we catch one parent out there, to research Mr. Davis again, the attorney that we do this show under. He's based out of Southern California, here where I live, but I mean, he goes all over the world. So
Absolutely.
his experience, not only in the time that he's done it, he's been practicing for 39 years, but
39 years.
35 of them are, CPS.
Right.
And so, I mean, he knows what he needs to know as far as that goes, but he has the heart. He grew up living
Yes.
with his paternal grandparents,
Yeah.
and he, has that knowledge of what it feels like not to be raised with, your
The parent.
biological mother
But at
and the
least he
parent.
was with kinship, so he had, he
Yeah,
had
true. So that's another reason why he fights more for the
for the
children to not
relatives.
only
Yep.
stay with relatives where they should be in the first place, but he gives that extra sense of love and care that really needs to be there in a situation like this. There are other CPS attorneys out there that are maybe just as qualified with knowledge, but maybe not so much I see as that
Very.
heart,
There's not that many
I
civil
mean,
rights CPS attorneys.
yeah. Oh, and
Not
that
in New
too.
York, anyway.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
if they're the one or two that I have come across, the retainer is retarded.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. That's the other unfortunate part.
yeah.
But, I love the fact that Mr. Davis always, goes back and shares if you watch all of his shows, like, me and Akiyama have done, but
Right.
he loves to mention, that the
School.
Jerry Spence trial school that he went to,
Yes.
and he was like handpicked and selected, and such a small amount of people got to go to that. But still, like you said, the part that he's that trial defense attorney as well as CPS. I mean, what
Right.
more would you want in trying to get your kids back, And
And he's so
again, I guess that's just,
like you said, he has the heart. He's invested, like
yes,
all the way from head to toe. He's invested. So,
exactly.
the fact that I'm here talking with you today is because his platforms were there when the times got hard. If it
Like
wasn't
me and you both
for
knew about each other. We knew exactly what we talked about. And it's weird
right,
because you're in New York, I'm in California, and we
exactly,
laughed
from
today
coast to
because,
coast, we were
yeah.
able to bond and make a friendship over
Hmm.
corruption in the
Hmm.
United States. Like, what better way? Look at that, chocolate and vanilla. Look at that.
That's so funny.
But I'm just like,
But
you have to take it with a grain of salt. But it's a give and take too, because we
mhm.
as parents, even though we may feel we didn't do anything wrong, we may have not done something wrong in the legal aspect where we did not,
Commit
actually
a
do those
crime.
things that we're being, investigated for, or
Yeah, committing a
alleged,
crime.
alleged reports. But we have done something where the children may feel, stressed, angry, uncomfortable, mad, or hurt. And
But
that is where,
there's no perfect parent out there. And for us
and
to
I
have our
said that,
children removed from us, like Mr. Davis always says, unless they are in
and at that point, that very point,
imminent
not
danger. He
yesterday,
explains it
not
several
last week.
times, not
Yeah.
just danger, but imminent danger.
Exactly.
There should be no reason why they remove the children then. But
Well, they
people
took
will
my
just
kids
come
from school.
over.
You know how mine went. They took my kids
Well,
from school.
yeah, they do it all different kinds of ways, And again, that just goes with what I was saying, and the fact that we don't know anything about it, because how should we know anything about the way CPS works? I mean, he stresses the fact that if they do show up to your house, don't even open the door. But you would think that if someone comes over with such like authority, so to speak, that they want to
that you would
like
be
deem that they're,
penalized for not opening the door.
and you
But
would think that the more you're cooperative, that the more it should look like you have nothing to hide. But
you have
no,
nothing to hide. Exactly.
someone's
But the
coming in
more
already such,
forthcoming you are,
yeah.
the
Hmm.
more you kind of screw yourself over in all actuality.
Yep.
You put yourself on Front Street, and then it's like now you're trying to dodge behind bushes and trees and trying to get shield. But if you would have listened to Mr. Davis from the very beginning, it would have all worked a
The
little
modules,
more
the
smoothly.
modules.
The modules.
You get past that first one, and now already that's water under
I
the
know,
bridge.
right? Did you see
And
how
you're
he
like,
changed
but
his face?
wait,
He was like,
wait,
"Oh,
wait.
you've been watching my show."
Yeah. And that's why
But
we're doing this under his thing, to get everybody to research him and all of his shows and get the knowledge because it's there. I mean, he has a book. Are you a CPS victim? No,
I know.
no. How
I got
to?
it off of Amazon before I came
I'm
to school.
blanking. How to fight CPS and win. You
Right.
know, that's another thing a lot of parents are confused about. Just because they think that they were done wrong, meaning their civil rights were violated, yeah, they could be very much true about that. But just
Exactly.
because,
But do
let's
you
say
want
you
to
were
be right or
violated,
do you want to win? That's it.
exactly,
Do
getting
you want to be right
a
or do you
civil
want to win?
rights case, getting a civil rights case to go in your favor doesn't necessarily mean that your kids come home. And a lot of
Exactly.
people don't realize that. They're like, well, I want to sue them. Okay, well, let's get your kids home first, and then you can maybe go down that route. But just
Right.
because you win that way doesn't mean
Does
that they
not
come
mean
home.
justice has prevailed.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I went to court yesterday, and
Mhm.
I was supposed to continue fact finding. We only had 30 minutes, and the communication sucked there too. The children's attorney and the CPS attorney decided that I was interfering in my children's therapeutic care because I asked the psychiatrist, God, I got stuck, the psychiatrist to admit my older daughter, for a 3 or more day stay based on the foster care agency, foster parent, and the office of the CPS commissioner. You guys are under the impression that there does not need to be a psychiatric evaluation. It does not even sound logical. If you're saying that she has not been taking her medication, she's been cheeking her meds or holding the meds in her throat, then she is not adequately medicated. That is inadequate guardianship.
And isn't that
Because,
also a form of neglect?
yeah, that too. And it's also considered maltreatment. But, in New York,
You cut out. I can't hear you.
I know.
I
Somebody's trying
can't.
to call me. You hear me now?
Okay, yeah.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So, what I'm trying to say to that aspect is any clinician that provides if a clinician provides a mind altering medication, which
We're gonna start
may,
looking at our show like we're the hot mess moms that are still
I
trying to
know,
keep
right?
it going. We have more interruptions, but
But look,
we're,
we got the mom hands,
yeah,
But
we're
what
keeping
I'm
it
saying
going.
to
Sorry.
that
Go
is,
ahead.
if you're saying that she's taking a psychotropic medication that is supposed to do a job of providing focus or less hyperactivity or more, control on the anxiety or the aggression when she may have manifestations of this, emotional disturbance, which is outlined on her disability, you cannot tell me as a case planner, not a caseworker, because planner, they don't have a license, and case planners are what we tend to deal with, just corny shit. But I'm saying it's it's insulting as their mother, a healthcare professional, because prior to me acquiring a legal degree, I was a paramedic for the fire department, and I'm out on disability based on my medical illness. So you cannot tell me as a case planner with no medical background what a clinician implemented when you did not have communication, and you insulted me with that level of incompetence, like I wouldn't go and check, because y'all are an agency that was neglectful from the very beginning by not providing services that could have prevented these removals or these children being ripped from their families, because that's what it is. And now we're supposed to depend on you guys to provide services and supports in the best interest of our children. And y'all get to make the determination on if our parenting is to your satisfaction.
Well, again, and a little bit with what you said and the fact that going back to in court, they tried to say that you were interfering with your child's
Right.
therapeutic type of thing. If anything, you're trying to bring more light to that sort of problem of your child's best interest yet again. But because it's now kind of turning the light on the foster parent and agency
Being
maybe not
negligent.
doing it,
Exactly.
yeah, or not doing it properly, then that's the reason now why you're the problem. Because you're bringing light to something that they're doing wrong. And of course, they're all on one team and
Right.
they could never do wrong. So again, it's a whole
It's
corrupt
just like
situation.
catch 22. They
Yep.
told me my children didn't have allergies. I mean, I've only known them their whole life.
Yeah. And if
And I
anything,
know,
why would they right away tell you that they don't? Why wouldn't they just look further into it to make sure if they do or they don't instead of just right away?
hell, after talking to their pediatrician right before court, after she filled out the allergy forms and sent the allergy medicine to the pharmacy, it was a little insulting when I reached out to them and they still, were neglectful all the way from September 3rd until now. Until the judge said something. But it was never the interaction that I would get as far as calling the police to the foster parents' home to do wellness checks because I was unaware of what was going on with my children based on the foster parent interfering with the parenting plan and dismissing my visits, not giving me my phone calls. And, not to put myself in the hot seat, but they said it's because I threatened her. I've been threatening that lady since last year, December 14th. Like, now they want to make it an issue. Because now,
But see, that right there too, a lot of people are, kind of misguided and misled in the fact that no matter what the relationship that the foster parent
thank
has
you.
established with your child, they are always 100% supposed to be supporting the child
Advocating
returning
for
home.
reunification. Exactly.
Exactly. And we know most likely times out of 10, I'd like to say 10 out of 10, that they're doing the
12 out
opposite.
of 10 shit.
I mean, with my youngest at our TPR hearing, the foster parents had now hired their own attorney. What do you need to hire an attorney for? And then we hear them saying off to the side that they want to hurry up this case along because they need to
They
keep
want you
their
to.
son.
Yep.
What? I mean, again, that they were in it for what they were in it for, and they got exactly what they wanted. This
Yep.
was their first rodeo. They had never had another child in their placement. Our son was their first. They got him when he was 1 month old. Beautiful,
Oh,
healthy
so he's
boy.
basically having his
And
life.
well, yeah, and the fact that I mean, religious or not religious, it just plays a big part in it. I think they're Mormon. They are blonde haired, blue
Okay.
eyed. My child is half black and half white. Not
Yep.
only do I feel like he's going to live a very hard life just with
Yep.
his ethnicity background being in a Mormon
Biracial, yeah.
household and having two parents that look nothing like him, and the fact that they got to do this to another little girl that is Hispanic. So,
Also, they have an
again,
Angelina Jolie family.
basically, but they really raised my son and his other daughter to really, not only call
The
them mom and
Caucasian
dad, but
one.
they took what?
The
Oh
Caucasian
yeah,
one.
they even took away the status of when we do get to still see my youngest in person, which is again fortunate, but they take away the fact that we can't even address ourselves as mom and dad. We are known as bios, like
Well,
biological.
technically,
Well, he's
that
been
is
adopted now and
legally
everything. So,
correct, but we don't want to hear that shit. So, I mean, at the end of the
but
day,
still, I mean, the poor
we're the
child.
birth parents. We're mom and dad. We're always going to be mom and dad. And
Yeah, no.
nobody's going to change that. Not a piece of paper, not the courts. Once
They
you,
could at least give us the respect of saying like Mama Deidre
oh, but they won't.
or
They
no,
won't
I
because
know.
then that will give
They
us too much control, D. That's too much control for us to have. Because
yeah,
then there's a possibility of creating a bond that could possibly, fracture their Donna Reed, American Dream upbringing life.
yeah.
So,
I mean, I
it's,
am still kind of surprised in the fact that they are still wanting to keep us in the picture as far as not trying to
they're
brainwash him because he
Mormon.
was
They're
so
trying to convert you.
act like well, yeah, and act like they're living the, all righteous way. But I mean, then again, that could be a whole nother topic and conversation for
Oh,
another day.
definitely.
But no, but again, out to our viewers. I know that Akima had someone call in today on a phone number and it was supposed to be posted, but I'm not sure what happened there. But next time,
It
since it's
was
getting
posted,
close.
but I don't know what's wrong with my phone. So
Oh, okay.
for
Well, next
everyone, if
time
you
when we
want
have
to
our
call
show,
in, you can
yeah.
call 347-246-1710.
And
Again, that
we
number is
good.
347-246-1710. Go ahead,
And
E.
then like next time, if you guys want to call in, or even if you want to be a guest on our show, the 888 number on the bottom right-hand corner of the
Yes,
screen
please.
there, you can call in and speak to our producer, Grace, and she can get you scheduled for one of our upcoming shows every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then you can actually come on video and, share
And
your story
mingle
with
with the
how
queen.
you've been affected or just any knowledge to, again, get the
If
word
you
out
have a
there. And,
family, right? If you have a family
more
member,
people that find out the truth of the matter, like again, will hopefully maybe save a child from, not getting adopted or not being able to go home, so.
we got to pass the message, parents. You guys, we have to, come together as a united front and let these
Mhm.
people know we know our rights, we assert our
Mhm.
rights, and we are going to stand united, and we're not giving up. That's what it is. Innocence is pure, and nobody gets to corrupt that based on a dollar sign.
Yeah,
Nobody gets to take that. Yeah.
a funny side story. I was telling Akima last night. I don't know if anybody knows, but Jamie Foxx came out with a Netflix special last night,
Yes,
and
it was
I
so good.
recommend everybody going out and watching it. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because it really has a lot to do with, his trials and tribulations with his medical problem that he faced. But again, it all goes back to not trying to be religious, but, God and the fact that God did give us these children for a reason, meaning they were our
Right.
blessings. And for somebody like CPS to be able to think that they have that godly role to say whether or not they think that they should go home to their parents or not, I just think it's so wrong. But if you were to watch that special, you could see it in many different ways in the fact that he never gave up and he came from basically being dead to now complete
Yeah.
360, and all
No
because, he
walking,
kept his
nothing.
faith. And yeah, but he kept his
No
faith and
tinkle.
belief in that, and he
No
prevailed.
tinkle.
So yeah, yeah, people will laugh if they see that, what she means by that.
Yeah. Right?
But again,
Yeah.
just don't give up on your kids because they need you just as much as you need them. And,
My kids
it
don't
might
even
be
want
a
to talk
real,
to me right now, to be honest. My kids are
oh,
so angry, hurt, and furious with me. I was told that, during the court proceeding, my ex husband came on there, with his on the run ass. But anyway, he comes on there and he's via Zoom because, he's wanted in this state. And he literally said, the kids want to have nothing to do with their mother. Bro, they wanted nothing to do with you either. And against my better judgment, I let you come over here and look what you did. So it's like, they're being brainwashed, and you guys have to be mindful too. Parents, be mindful. These agencies implement custodial interference and parental alienation round the clock, like it's a part of tea and biscuits. They have no remorse for parenting plans, parenting time, parental rights. It's just the overall title of a parent because they want a
mhm,
foster to be in front of it
mhm,
until the checks stop coming.
that too.
Once the checks stop coming, then adoption is implemented because those checks come for a little while longer. And then once the checks are done, they find the next victim. Because
Yeah.
that's what it is: kidnapping, human trafficking, and using us as pawns to either mentally use psychological warfare, medically, violate us and use that as a advantage to be the thieves you are, or use substance abuse as a reason to make it seem like you're an unfit parent.
And
And
don't you think it's kind of funny?
huh?
Don't you think it's kind of funny that, like, let's say for my youngest child situation, once he was adopted, it's like, okay, it's almost like it's done, it's over. They got their money from that kid. Why don't they ever continue to check in with these children to really make sure
Exactly.
that as they're
Because
getting
once they sign
older,
off, it's what it
it's
is. They
done?
sign off. Remember when TV used to go off, years ago, where you see the red flag and you see the American flag and then it, woo, that sound? That's how it sounds once they sign the child off and there's no more funding. It sounds
Meaning, if
just
they
like
care so
that.
much about these children, you would think that there would be some kind of form of connecting still to make sure the child is okay. But it's like, nope, the foster parents played the role they needed to play till the case was closed, and now they got their money, and who cares what happens to the kid? You know what I
But you
mean?
know what I just learned, Deidre? I
Huh.
learned that from the time your children are removed, there is a concurrent plan for adoption implemented on the third day for
Meaning they
every
are still
state in
supposed
the
to check
United
in
States.
with
For
them.
every state in the United States, every state in the United States except Washington State and Washington D.C.
Wait, so what do you mean by that? That they are supposed to check in?
They no. What I'm saying is, after the 3 days is over, that's when they separate themselves. That's it.
Oh, yeah,
That's it.
that makes sense.
But you
I'm
hear
surprised
about
they
these
even give
children
themselves
getting
3 days.
killed. You see the kids, they're getting killed in shelters. They're getting
Oh,
starved.
yeah.
They're getting thrown out of windows out here in the Bronx. And this is in New York. Everything happens in the Bronx. Everything. All the rapes, all this, everything. Everything. All the kidnappings. Everything happens in the Bronx. And most of the time, every child crisis is either the child fell out the window because the guardrails weren't, adequately secure. Children fell down a flight of stairs because there was no protective gate put up. Child
Because
fell in a
again, these
pool.
foster parents don't really care about the child because
They
it
don't.
wasn't theirs to begin with. They just wanted it for all other negative reasons, money, or to give them that family, or anything but the fact of truly, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are
They
some,
told me the foster parent did today in court gave a very nice bunch of a monologue of lies. So for me to call 311 and they prompted an OSR report saying that the foster parent was negligent by not getting my child the EpiPen and the albuterol. She in
mhm.
turn flipped it around and said I was making false reports about getting stabbed and getting beat up with frying pans for my child. Everyone knows, and just for clarity, I'm going to state it again on this show. On the East Coast in New York City, you do not have to disclose you are recording anybody as long as one is privy to the conversation. And that would be, that's me. So,
Not in California, unfortunately. Both parties
right.
have to
But I said,
be in the
here in
knowing.
this state where I'm
Yeah,
at
yeah.
on the East Coast, we can do that. So for you social workers that don't want to talk to me, all of a sudden now, you check my bar license, but now that you guys don't want to talk to me, it's because I'm recording. When I was recording before, you came real fluent and transparent. And most of y'all know y'all have incriminated yourselves on more than one occasion. But the
But
cloud is thick.
a side note to California, because a lot of parents don't know this neither. These social workers that love to show up at your house, all you have to simply do is have some kind of form of uh, notification, like a sticker or a little whatever that they give you when you have
Right.
surveillance at your house. As long as that is somewhere posted visibly saying, this
Yep. As
house is
long, yep.
24-hour
24-hour
surveillance,
surveillance.
you could
Or I
then
do a
technically
disclosure.
record.
I do a disclosure. When I open my door, I say, look up to the camera, state your name, reason for visit, and let me give you this disclosure.
So what
Because
I'm
me
trying
from
to say
my
in
house,
California,
people can't
because
come to
both
me.
parties have to be aware that they're being recorded, if they continue to stay on your property, you can then technically use that recording because they had been
Exactly.
notified. But if they choose to
Exactly.
leave because of it, then obviously you're not going to get anywhere with it. But just saying that is a form of letting them know that they're
That you're
being
recording.
recorded. And then if they continue to stay and do what they do, you can now use the recording that you have, like from your Ring camera or whatever, and
Exactly.
maybe try and fight something in the beginning there, just
And that's
to
what.
throw it out there.
Somebody ring the bell. There's no package out there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Speaking of that.
It's like, you want me
Well,
to
we
close
can
my
go
door?
ahead and tie the show up. I mean, it's almost been an hour, but
Really? You been talking that long? This was kind of
well, it's
good today.
5:52. Well, what,
You gotta do the
8:52 your time?
you gotta do the cabbage patch, D, because we did good today.
I got to do the what?
The cabbage patch is an old school. Come on now, you know.
Cabbage Patch, meaning I had Cabbage Patch dolls, but I don't get the joke.
You would say that. You would say that.
I'm lost in that one.
It's an urban dance. We're gonna leave it at that. It's an urban dance.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's a
yeah. Well,
doll for y'all. It's a doll for
that's like
kids
when my
or
husband
adults for
likes to
y'all.
joke that I'm on my white SH IT.
Listen, you
I'm
want
like,
to
well, I
be the
am white.
Eminem of the females, all right? You're biracial in there, all right? Gotta
I'm
be
diverse,
squirrel. The
diverse in my
squirrel.
whiteness, if you want to call it.
You're swirling right there. You're swirling.
There you go. A little bit of both worlds.
Right.
More flavor, I feel like, is better, right? All right. Well,
Absolutely.
do you have anything else you want to say before we kind of close off the night?
I do want to say,
Yeah.
catch us again every Wednesday from 8 to 9 Eastern Standard Time,
We'll
5
get our stuff
p.m.
together eventually,
6
everyone.
p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is Are You a CPS Victim Like Me? With Akima Richardson and Deidre Payne. Grace?
And we are out of here. Thank you, Grace. Bye, everyone.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.